So the legislation that we're talking about here, there's bureaucratic hurdles with regards to the way in which the Medicaid program is run. And so one of the challenges that often happens with it, or for some patients and beneficiaries across the country, is because there's an income requirement. If, say, let's say you're working, but you're still qualified for Medicaid. Let's say you get a raise, but then happen to get laid off, like we did in the pandemic. Well, that raise might mean you are no longer eligible for Medicaid because you surpassed the income guidelines. Then, if you get kicked off or you lose your job, you would have to reapply. And so, what this bill basically says is it allows for, it stops that Medicaid churn. It allows for that continuous enrollment in 4 years so that if you qualify, you get that coverage for a year. And you're reevaluated again at the end of that year. But it stops this continual cycle where people cycle on and off. And you can imagine that you don't even need to have the concerns in the midst of a pandemic about this. You can imagine if you have a chronic condition, if you have diabetes, well, the cost of insulin, if you have coverage, and then all of a sudden if you don't, and then how do you get coverage if you all of a sudden lost insurance, you didn't know it, the myriad challenges that come with living with a condition, a pre-existing condition and a chronic condition in this country. So this basically just tries to simplify the process and say, if you qualify for a year, we'll reevaluate then. But let's not make sure that people lose access to healthcare because of the variations that could come over the course of one's life in a year.